The restaurant's warm glow cast soft light across the tables as Charlotte Hayes walked in, her heart pounding with nervousness. At 31, she'd finally agreed to go on a blind date, her first since her husband died 2 years ago. Her sister had set it up, insisting it was time to start living again. Charlotte had agonized over what to wear, settling on a simple blue sweater and floral skirt from her limited wardrobe. Nothing fancy, but presentable. She'd left her 2 daughters, 4-year-old twins, Emma and Sophie, with her sister for the evening. Grateful for the help she could rarely afford, she spotted him immediately at a corner table. Tall, probably mid-30s, wearing a navy blue polo that suggested casual confidence. Handsome, but that wasn't what caught her attention. What caught her attention were the 2 little girls sitting with him. Identical twins with curly brown hair, each clutching a stuffed animal. They couldn't have been more than 4 or 5 years old. Charlotte's stomach sank. This wasn't what she'd expected. A man with children wasn't a problem, but bringing them on a first date, that seemed either desperate or completely oblivious to dating norms. She almost turned around and left. But the man had seen her, was standing with a warm smile, gesturing for her to join them. Charlotte walked over on shaky legs, trying to hide her confusion and disappointment. "Charlotte, I'm Derek Winters, and these are my daughters, Lily and Rose." He seemed completely comfortable with the situation. "I apologize for the surprise. My sitter cancelled last minute. I offered to reschedule, but your sister insisted you'd understand." Charlotte sat down slowly, forcing a smile at the 2 girls, who stared at her with curious eyes. "Hello, Lily and Rose." "Hi," they said in unison, then giggled at their synchronization. The twins immediately went back to coloring on their kids' menus, allowing Derek and Charlotte to attempt adult conversation. But Charlotte's mind was racing. Why had he brought his children? Was this a test? Did he expect her to be impressed by his dad? Or was he just completely clueless about how first dates worked? "I have to ask," Charlotte said quietly, leaning forward so the girls wouldn't hear. "Why did you bring your kids here? To a first date?" Derek's expression shifted to something vulnerable. "Honestly, because I wanted you to see my real life before we went any further. I'm a single dad first, everything else second. If you can't handle that reality, it's better to know now than after we've invested time and emotion." The brutal honesty caught Charlotte off guard. "That's very direct. I learned the hard way that hiding my situation doesn't help anyone. I've had women who seemed great until they met my daughters, then suddenly they were too busy to continue dating. Or women who loved the idea of ready-made family but hated the reality of 2 energetic 4-year-olds. So now I'm up front. This is my life. Take it or leave it." Charlotte felt something shift in her chest. What happened to their mother? "If you don't mind me asking." "She left when the twins were 6 months old. Said motherhood wasn't what she thought it would be, that she needed to find herself. I haven't heard from her in 3 years. I'm sorry. That must be incredibly hard." "It was. It is. But Lily and Rose are the best thing in my life. I wouldn't change them for anything." Derek paused. "Your sister mentioned you're a widow, with twin daughters also." Charlotte nodded. "Emma and Sophie just turned 4. My husband died in a car accident 2 years ago. Heart attack at the wheel. He was only 32. I'm so sorry. How are you managing?" The question opened something in Charlotte. Maybe it was the shared experience of single parenthood. Maybe it was the relief of not having to pretend her life was easier than it was. "I'm barely managing," she admitted quietly. I work as a receptionist at a dental office. The pay is terrible, but the hours let me drop the girls at preschool and pick them up after. My sister helps when she can. We live in a small apartment. I budget every dollar, and I'm constantly terrified something will break or someone will get sick because I don't have any cushion. Derek listened without judgment. That sounds exhausting. It is. Your sister said you work in tech. I own a software company. We develop apps for small businesses. It's doing well, which allows me flexibility to be there for the girls. I work from home most days, have a nanny during business hours. I'm very fortunate. Charlotte felt the familiar sting of comparison. Here was a man with resources, flexibility, help, while she was scraping by alone. But Derek didn't say it with bragging, just fact. Lily tugged on Derek's sleeve. "Daddy, can we have the mac and cheese?" "Of course, sweetie." He smiled at Charlotte. "They're very particular. Only mac and cheese or chicken nuggets. No vegetables, if they can help it. Emma and Sophie are the same. I've given up fighting the vegetable battle, except for sneaking them into smoothies." They ordered food, and the conversation flowed more easily. Derek asked about her daughters, what they liked, what parenting alone was like. Charlotte found herself opening up, sharing the struggles and small joys of raising twins without a partner. The girls, meanwhile, had discovered they were the same age and began playing together, sharing crayons and giggling over their drawings. "This is nice," Rose said to Charlotte, holding up a picture. "I drew you and Daddy and all of us together." Charlotte looked at the crayon drawing of stick figures holding hands. Her throat tightened unexpectedly. As dinner progressed, Charlotte realized something. Dara hadn't brought his daughters to test her or show off his dad's skills. He'd brought them because this was his reality, and he wanted honesty from the start. "Can I ask you something?" Charlotte said as they finished dessert. "Earlier, when I asked why you brought your kids, you said you wanted me to see your real life, but you have money, help, resources. This," she gestured at the nice restaurant, the ease with which he'd ordered without checking prices, "isn't a struggle for you the way it is for me. Why warn me off? Most women would be thrilled." Derek was quiet for a moment. "Because money doesn't make single parenthood easy. It makes different parts hard. I still wake up at 2 in the morning when one of them has a nightmare. I still feel guilty when I have to work late and miss bedtime. I still worry I'm screwing them up by not being enough on my own. And I've learned that unless someone understands that kids come first, always, it doesn't work, regardless of how much money is in the bank." Charlotte understood completely. Emma had a nightmare last night. Woke up screaming for her daddy. Nothing I did would calm her down. I just held her and cried with her until she exhausted herself back to sleep. Sophie did the same thing last week. Called for her mama, even though she barely remembers her mother. They looked at each other with shared understanding. Two people carrying similar burdens, even if their bank accounts looked very different. At the end of the evening, as Charlotte prepared to leave, Derek walked her to her car while his daughters waited inside with the hostess. "I'd like to see you again," Derek said. "If you're interested, maybe next time without the kids, so we can actually have an adult conversation." Charlotte smiled. "Actually, I was thinking the opposite. Maybe next time we bring all 4 girls. Let them meet properly. If we're going to do this, we should see how they get along." Derek's face lit up. "You're serious? You're not scared off by instant family?" "I already have an instant family. 2 4-year-olds who need a mother but also need to see that love and partnership are possible even after loss. If this goes somewhere, I want it to be real from the start. Like you said, no hiding the reality. 3 months later, the 4 girls were inseparable. Emma, Sophie, Lily, and Rose had formed their own little squad, playing together every weekend when Charlotte and Derek merged their families for outings. 6 months after that, Derek proposed, not at a fancy restaurant, but at the park, where all 4 girls were playing, surrounded by their chaotic, joyful reality. Charlotte accepted, and they merged their families officially. Derek insisted on a prenup that protected Charlotte, ensuring she'd have security regardless of what happened. Charlotte went back to school to finish her degree. With Derek's support and their combined childcare, 2 years after that awkward first date, they had a house full of 4 kindergartners, 2 exhausted parents, and more love than either had thought possible after their losses. "You know what I remember most about our first date?" Derek asked one chaotic morning as they tried to get 4 kids ready for school. "You bringing your children and me thinking you were crazy. You asking why I brought them, not with judgment but with genuine curiosity. And then understanding when I explained. Most people would have left. You stayed. You showed me your real life. How could I leave when I was desperate for someone to see mine?" The single dad who'd brought his kids to a first date had found a widow who understood that real love embraces reality, not fantasy, and the 4 little girls gained not just a blended family, but the knowledge that even after loss, new beginnings are possible. If this story touched you, like, share, and subscribe. Comment about choosing honesty in relationships.